expect a win. I don't know, by knockout or submission. That's what I'm going to go for, but I expect 5-minute round of war at very high pace.
It is the one we have waited our entire lives for.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen of the world? It is time for the 5th round right here on KLRG 880 AM, 94.5 FM, streaming around the world at KLRG880.com. And in the house right now, of course, as always, my man, Nathan Kirby.
What's up?
What's up?
All right, let's go, baby. I'm ready to do this.
Man, we got a massive show ahead of you. Massive. And when I mean massive, I mean massive. We're talking some big stuff today. We're going to cover a bunch of stuff. Just announce our boy, Rolly, the crazy Cuban Delgado, shall be fighting.
Show fight.
A show fight, baby. June 16th. So I'm going to cover that here shortly. I'm just going to kind of give you a brief rundown. ADCC, the ADCC champion, Roger Gracie, is going to face
ADCC?
the Abu Dhabi Championship.
And Abu Dhabi for our lay people out there.
Yes, Roger Gracie will be facing Keith Jardine at middleweight. That'll be awesome. Hanato Babalu Sobral for a lot of you old school fans.
Hanato Babalu.
He's going to be fighting at 1FC. We're going to cover some of that good stuff. Dominic Cruz is out of UFC 148 with an ACL injury.
That's crazy.
That sucks, man.
I was looking forward to that.
It's going to be, man, he's a great
What
fighter.
a wuss.
So we'll be going over that stuff.
Just kidding, Cruz. Just kidding.
The World Jiu-Jitsu Expo is tomorrow. That's going to be a mad event if you guys are coming out. You guys are going out to the California area. I know we have some California listeners.
Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz versus Braulio Estima. And here in the next couple of weeks, we might actually be having Braulio on the show. So working on that. I'm excited. He's my favorite BJJ fighter on the planet. We've got some other good stuff. Of course, Uriah Faber is still going to be fighting in an interim UFC 148 fight. King Mo, big news out of yesterday. King Mo signs with Bellator and TNA Wrestling. I actually watched a little bit of some MMA Uncensored earlier because he was on the show last night. And what's great about MMA Uncensored? One of the co-hosts happens to be calling in today.
Oh
man.
Imagine that.
Nate the Rock Corey going to be calling in here shortly, probably in about 10 minutes or so. I got a nice little text that he had just gotten out of bed. He's in New York City right now. I'm up. I'm ready to go. Right on. So
that's
going to be awesome.
But you blew it, man. You blew it. All right, now
no, because people knew. I mean, I was posting on Facebook.
I wasn't. I didn't know we were gonna. I thought we were gonna keep it a secret. That's how we get ratings.
I gotta hype it, man. And I'll tell you right now.
Guess who's gonna be on? Guess who's gonna be gone? It's gonna be my 11-year-old son. No.
Well, you know what? We also had. I checked on our stuff this morning, and we have out actually this as of today, we've reached more listeners and had more talks on our Facebook page than we ever have, which is really awesome. Which goes to us thanking you as the listeners.
Amen. Thank you.
Thank you for if it wasn't for you, Nathan and I could not do this.
I suck sometimes and I forget. Do you know how many pages I have? You know how many Facebook walls? You know how many social media outlets that I run? And I forget sometimes. I just forget. Everybody like our Facebook page. Like our Facebook page. Yes. The 5th round.
That's it.
I keep forgetting.
And even another bigger one along with the 5th round, Kingdom Promotions MMA.com.
I know, but I'm so
what a banging huge. We're going to be talking about that too.
I can't wait.
We're going to be talking about that too.
I feel like I'm ADD or something today.
Man, I'm going to go through some of this stuff here shortly. But first, I got my own announcement.
Oh gosh. Oh, you did look pregnant.
Oh, no. Wow, dude.
Oh. All right, go ahead.
So, as of last weekend, everybody heard we had Alexo Bell.
Right.
Your host, Craig, is fighting.
You are.
I am fighting. Triad Fight League, September 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Now, the location has not been revealed because the location has not been finalized. I personally know where they're talking about and actually who they're in discussions with, but I'm not at liberty to say because there will be an announcement by Alexo next week. So I'm so
when is this? September?
September 21st, 22nd, 23rd. They are going to be huge. 3 cages, 300
fighters, man.
That is 50 fights a day. And they're going to be running 3 fights at a time. So you're going to be watching 3 fights, and as all 3 fights have to end, then they will announce the next 3 fights.
Isn't that
so
crazy?
You're going to be sitting there at this event just blown away by some of the fighters. I've been talking to some of the other triad fighters over the past week or so. Amazing people that I've been talking to. Shauna Carew from Australia, Queensland, Australia. We've been talking to her. I've been talking to her all the time, and she's fighting for the New York team, the New York Knockouts. That's going to be awesome. We got some other great. I think it's going to be really huge especially for female MMA, because it's going to show a lot of fighters that haven't been seen yet in Strikeforce and even in Invicta yet. So that's going to be huge for them. Lots of guys, man. I'm blown away. It's going to be such an awesome event.
Hey, why don't we get our phone number out there to everybody? Give us
phone number. I'm going to give this number because I don't want to. I want to make sure you guys get this number because I got another number that Nate's calling in on. But we got a number here: 501-492-5578. So 501-492-5578 is our number.
Is that the number we normally give out?
No, because I've got that line reserved. For our special guest,
Nate Coy.
Dude, I mean, wow. We've got some awesome stuff to talk about. Here we go. And I've got a really good clip that came out this past week, and I want everybody to hear it.
You're
and
so
it just
prepared.
should start us off.
I'm so proud of you.
And prepared, yes. But this is the man, the mouth, Chael Sonnen.
Congratulations, MMA media. Right when I think your incompetence cannot get to any higher level, the Alistair Overeem story comes out. From you kids on the interwebs running your little .coms from the couch in your mother's basement to you beneficiaries of Mark Cuban's tax write-off, you've gone and screwed up the Alistair Overeem case beyond all belief. Is it repairable? I doubt it. Hey, if I'm a member of the media and somebody tells me that Alistair Overeem failed a drug test, the very first thing I'm going to say is, really? What substance did he test positive for? And you see, those basic questions are where the wheels begin to fall off the bus to this entire story. Alistair Overeem did not test positive for anything. End of story. So why is his name getting dragged through the mud? Why are they saying, well, he's got an elevated TDE ratio? Okay, fair enough. Let's say his TDE ratio is outside the norm. That's not illegal. That's outside the norm. That's a red flag. That is a red flag, and Alistair will owe an explanation. If it's not against the rule, why are we having this conversation? MMA media, you failed. It reminds me of a time when Ronald Reagan was president and somebody in his cabinet had to stand trial. He gets acquitted, and he says, well, great, I've won the trial, but who do I see to get my reputation back?
UFC Tonight, Tuesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Well, he's got a point.
Now there's another
a small point.
There is. Now there was another clip I was going to play earlier, but it's a little bit too long for what we have going on. But he really went into detail about it, and obviously Chael's a little bit more in depth and in the know than we even are when it comes to the athletic commission. This is a man who's actually been suspended in the past himself. But he goes into detail saying, show me in the rule book where he broke a rule. Because he didn't. He didn't break anything.
Come on,
okay,
no, man.
But you got to tell. But you cannot tell
when
me.
You have more testosterone than a freaking racehorse.
No. But that was the thing. It was a testosterone to epitestosterone level, not just a testosterone test. They didn't give him just a testosterone test, and they didn't find anything in his system whatsoever. So, and lo and behold, you can't. I do kind of agree a little bit now to get this a little bit a different perspective of, man, you said he did something because you might have a clue that he did, but you have no proof that he did. So, in all leniency and all
if it
fairness,
don't fit, you must have quit.
The glove don't fit. So I wanted everybody to kind of hear that and get that different perspective, because the media does spin things out. They could take one small piece of one shred of evidence and drag someone's name through the mud, and that's in all types of media, not just regular sports, but in politics and all over the place. So I think we need to have more facts come out about this, and I think that the Athletic Commission might have jumped the gun quite a bit on this one. Speaking of Athletic Commission, you have something great going on with the Athletic Commission. Tell us about what's going on with you and the Arkansas State Athletic Commission.
Well, right now, they just formed a subcommittee. And so the commissioner texted me and asked me if I would represent MMA. And I think what they're doing, and again, if I can use the word, I'll be careful with what I say. Again, because of the lack of knowledge that some of the people on the commission have, they still are trying to separate, like it used to be in 1993, boxing, kung fu, karate, wrestling. They're trying to separate mixed martial arts. I do understand a little bit. They're trying to get somebody to represent all sports, but what is really happening in the state of Arkansas? What sports are going on? First of all, the Athletic Commission should not be regulating jiu-jitsu tournaments or wrestling tournaments unless it's a professional wrestling match or even amateur fake wrestling. I'm not talking about high school folk style wrestling. I'm talking about the
WWE.
I almost use the GA. I don't like wrestling. That's just not me. But hey, man, that's an awesome sport for some other kids. You know, if you NASCAR fans, listen. I think what you need to do is understand that what we have right now is MMA. There's hardly any boxing going on in the state. All right, so we got to have somebody represent boxing. I think they have somebody to represent the kickboxing side, and I'm representing MMA. Well, why is that? I was a pro fighter. I mean, I am a trainer, but now I'm really more of a promoter. And so wouldn't you think that would be a conflict of interest? I mean, I'm even against me, it's not a conflict of interest to put
in
me
a
on
way
a
it can be, because you have an actual financial interest.
Yes.
And other things in the commission, and so it's kind of hard. I mean, and I don't want.
But I'm not appointed to the committee. You got to understand, I'm not on the athletic
committee.
commission. It's a subcommittee, still head up by the committee. They have to have 2 committee members on there. Anyway, long story short, we get to tear up the legislature that's already passed. The rules, some ghetto right now. Some of the rules that are passed right now in legislature are just awful, man. I mean, some of the crazy stuff, hoops some of them have fire. We have to jump through hoops full of fire to get a show to go on. It's pathetic. Fighters are getting breathalyzed, and I found out the true story behind this. It was hilarious. It was actually one of our own state representatives who was like, I think we need to put in there, we're going to do a breathalyzer. She's like, wait, what do you mean we need to do a breathalyzer? This is way back when, and it was because of Tough Man, which I've got some news about that too, but I don't think I can reveal that on the show today, but I think the news is going to be hit today. Sorry, guys, I can't give you this piece of dirt. You'll have to watch for my Facebook, and then we could talk about it next week probably. But this is going to be huge news for Arkansas anyway about Tough Man. So long story short, subcommittee, tear up the rules. Now we're going to actually have something to where the Arkansas State Athletic Commission is not the slave drivers. They're actually working for us promoters because it's all about the safety, health, and welfare of the fighter. That's what it's supposed to be about. But then it was insane. But anyway, we have some awesome opportunity over the next 30 days for us, your voice to be heard. All you've got to do is go to asac.ar.gov. That's the Arkansas State Athletic Commission in Arkansas.gov, and download the rules and regulations.
47 pages of it.
47 pages. If you're a fan, if you're a fighter, if you're a coach, if you're a trainer, it doesn't matter who you are. If there is something that you want to go against, if you want to fight, if you want to argue, if you want to get kicked out, if you want to have something amended, you write down whatever it is and email it to me, and my voice is your voice. I am the voice of the people, so we get to change whatever rules. Like, one thing I don't like is that, I cannot have a plastic bottle of water. I can't have a plastic bottle of water 5 feet close to the cage because it's a weapon. You can't throw that bottle through the cage. So anyway, I can't wait to get that thrown out. There's some crazy stuff, but long story short, I think we might have a guest on the phone. Is that true? Oh, we might have Nate Corey on the phone. Man, I'm excited about today. But hey, everybody, listen. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Go to our pages. We got personal pages and we've got regular profile pages. Nathan Kirby, Craig Blazevich. But also go to The Fifth Round and Kingdom Promotions MMA on Facebook and like our Facebook page. The more followers we get, the more we're able to reach out to you, the more we get feedback, the more we can help you guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the line right now.
I got the background.
I've been pumping this up for weeks. The man, Nate Rock Corey. Good morning, sir.
Dun, dun, dun. Good morning.
Well, did you just wake up?
I did.
I love it.
Well, sir, we greatly appreciate you joining us on the show this morning. Have a great day. No, I'm just kidding. Now, Nate did just tell me as I answered the phone, I got AT&T, and I'm in New York City. Calls drop all the time. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're just going to keep this going. We're just going to roll this.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we got Nate Corey on the line right now. All right. So you're on Spike right now, co-host of MMA Uncensored Live. Everybody, you can follow Nate on Twitter at Nate Rock Corey. Check that out.
That is correct.
All right. Other than the show on Spike, what else do you have going on right now, sir?
Geez, the show on Spike is really the big thing in the MMA world. And then I'm also a spokesman for the company that did my back surgery 6 years ago, just really going out and helping people find the relief that they need. And then my passion project is Zombie Cage Fighter at zombiecagefighter.com.
Ooh, I love passion. Passion. Let me tell you, I mean, sorry, Craig, I'm going to interrupt. I'm ADD today. So listen, you just turned me on with the word passion. Is that what got you this far, starting at 24 years old? Is it your passion? Is that what got you this far and then has just blown you up? Or was it just a desire?
Well, those are two very similar words, so let me break it down. You have to have passion if you're going to do something like this, especially when I got started and at what age I was, at 24. And
right.
There was absolutely no money to be made in the sport whatsoever. If I would have gotten into it for the money or the fame, it just didn't exist. And the ride is just way too hard to try and take it for such a superficial reasons. So I really loved what I was doing and taking amateur fights and then just so often being in the right place at the right time. I had a title out in Richmond, Virginia, and I had some personal issues, but I decided I was going to go out anyways and defend my title, and I beat my opponent in a minute and a half. And it just so happened Richmond, Virginia is Joe Silva's hometown. So he came up to the ring and he said, "I've got my eye on you." And when they did the Ultimate Fighter, they called me. It really was so much of it about being willing to put in the time, put in the hard work, and being in the right place at the right time.
Oh, you mean it just didn't happen for you? You mean it just wasn't easy?
You know, I went down and I camped at a park for a month down in New York City. And all of a sudden, Dana White was like, "Dude, well, of course we're going to give you a title shot."
Wow.
That's a rip on the Occupy Wall Street douchebags.
Wow. Well, anyway, I'm sorry to go on a tangent like that, but I'm telling you, I can't even stress enough. I'm huge into self-development, huge into leadership, and the one thing I keep trying to tell people is you got to have a passion about something, and you got to understand that it's going to take more than one effort. You're going to have to get knocked down and get back up and get knocked down and have the fortitude just to keep going and be resilient and bounce back and keep going. And you, 18-4 as a pro, how many amateur fights did you have?
Well, I pretty much counted everything all at once because after my first fight, it was pro rules from that point on. So back in the day, you didn't know who you were fighting. Half the times you didn't know what the rules were. I fought in one card where it was Pride and UFC rules combined. So you could knee on the ground and you could elbow on the ground, all that stuff. But what you're saying about following your passion, that's so true. And I think that's what a lot of, especially the younger generation coming up, they don't understand. They're used to the instant gratification that, well, I made a video and now it's on YouTube, so I'm obviously famous and important. Whereas with me, I literally saw the UFC on TV when I was 24. Me and my friends would get drunk and beat each other up, and my goal was to be able to beat my friends. I opened up a phone book. I find a local gym. I remember my roommate saying, "Oh, this place does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. That's that stuff they're doing on the UFC."
That's that one thing on that fight show. That's that wrestling thing with pajamas on.
I go down to the gym, and I get the shit kicked out of me so badly that I just realize I have to keep doing this. I cannot exist knowing that so many people in this world can beat me up so easily. And all I did, the only gift that I had was the ability to work hard and and show up every day and not give up. Because after, I think, or when did Randy show? I think it was around a year, Coach Orr walks through the door. And then Dan Henderson. So I'm somebody who's never had any training at all in my life with anything for the most part. Today, by Dan Henderson over and over again. He beat me up so badly that Coach Orr was trying to tell me, hey, he's getting you with the underhook. Don't underhook. First off, I didn't know what an underhook was.
Yes. I love
And
it.
secondly, I couldn't even see what he was saying because I was on hands and knees and I could not lift my head. Danny had beat the top of my head so badly, my head was so exhausted I couldn't even move.
That is awesome.
That is awesome.
You know, the reason why we say that being awesome, I trained in Iowa, Militich, and I trained with some awesome fighters up there. And to try to explain somebody exactly what you're saying right now, you know, people sit back and you just mention those names and they're like, I literally showed Craig when you did that. I have goosebumps. I'm rock hard nipping here because you said Randy Couture. I gotta hang out with Randy Couture. I've never met Dan Henderson yet, but you know, Dan Henderson's got a big fight coming up, and you know, these are old school. This is what I'm older school than that, but you know, we love these guys, and to know that that is when you got your start and how you got your start and where you are right now, and just, man, that was amazing. I love that story. I have a question from a fan, if you don't mind. Robert Goins, okay, he asks, what do you feel is the biggest challenge facing the MMA industry today?
Boy, the industry in itself, it's really just further acceptance. So one of those big things is getting MMA legalized in the state of New York. And that's going to be a huge jump, obviously. As far as from a fighter's point of view, I want to see more organizations. I think
Yes.
it's going to be better for the fighters. I want to see Bellator do really well next year as it jumps over to Spike, and I really think that it will. Although, you know, with the UFC being the big dog on the block, they're going to be able to buy any fighters that Bellator produces.
Right.
Just that simple. But as time goes along, as Bellator grows on Spike TV, and the fighters realize what a great organization it is to work for, and they can have any sponsor that they want. The sponsors don't have to pay a fee to the organization.
Right.
It's really going to go well for them, and I believe their plan of action is they're eventually going to have pay-per-views where at the end of this series that they always do, the tournaments, they'll have all the tournament finals on that pay-per-view. So as soon as they do that, there's going to be so much more money coming in, which will then be able to be spread around to the fighters and ways to pay. And look at just Hector Lombard, for example. How much money do you think the UFC would have paid to him if he wasn't able to go to Bellator? Oh, they bought him from Bellator. If they did not have to do that, what they would have paid him a quarter of what they're paying him, maybe half.
Yeah.
But now, because there's
quarter.
that competition, Hector Lombard gets to reap the benefits.
Right.
And as a fighter, that's what I'm for. I don't really care if any promoter gets to drive a new Benz or fly a new helicopter or a new jet. Not when co-main events on UFC pay-per-view cards are getting $8,000.
I know, man.
Embarrassment.
Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, right now on the line, Nate Rock Corey, the co-host of MMA Uncensored Live. Nate, we're mentioning the money and the payouts, and this is a big question. I've been thinking about this all week to ask you too. Last weekend, Floyd Mayweather was paid a minimum $32 million for his fight with Cotto, and that was not including his cut of the pay-per-view and win bonus. Yet, just the week before,
Or sponsors.
well, John Bones Jones defends his light heavyweight title against Rashad Evans and made a reported $400,000 payday. Of course, that not including the sponsors. Are we going to eventually see mega paydays in the UFC that reach these numbers, or do you think Dana White and the Fertittas will keep that more under control?
Well, there's a few issues right here. So that's John Jones' reported income. I know for a fact that he's getting a cut of the pay-per-view. It's nowhere near a $30 million, anything like that, but it's fully actually, I'd guess that he made over $1 million for that fight. So
Definitely.
he is getting into that zone where he's making good money. I mean, I never made that kind of money. When I fought for the title, I was paid $10,000. That was my show money. I was at the third highest gate in UFC history at $3.5 million. Until there's legitimate competition where there's a bidding war and Bellator or whoever is able to say, hey, John, they're offering you $3 a pay-per-view buy. We'll give you 4, and we've got 1 million pay-per-view buys, so you just made $1 million as opposed to $3 million over there. What do you want to do? To me, that's really the thing. Why do organizations pay so little? Why does any employer pay so little? Because they can. Their goal is, I'm going to pay you as little as I possibly can and keep you here and keep you happy. That's just straight up business. That's just the way of the world. Employers, their real concern, and to some extent, they want to keep their employees happy. And you see the UFC with their deal with John Jones. I don't know what his cut of the pay-per-view is, but whatever it is, they could have offered him 25 cents less or 50 cents less, and what would he have done? Well, no, I'm not going to do that, so I'm going to go fight for Bellator for $100,000. So at some point, they're definitely increasing the payday to the fighters. I would just like to see it across the board. My thought, especially, is with the UFC, I don't really see it as that exclusive of a club anymore. If you go to UFC.com, there's actually a link that you can click on. Hey, do you want to fight in UFC? Click here. Can you imagine the NFL having that, or the NBA? It's ridiculous. But now there's been thousands of people that have fought in the UFC.
Right.
And
it's not as
guys
elite.
will come in, one and done. Well, you really weren't that good, so we're filing you. And it makes the fighters expendable. And I always think about Jason McDonald when I fought him. And I beat him in the first round. I think he had another loss or 2 losses before that, so he was cut from the UFC. And I thought to myself, who are you going to replace Jason McDonald with that is better than Jason McDonald, that has a bigger following than Jason McDonald? There isn't anyone. So they bring in some guy that's 7-0 in Idaho bum fights, and he can't get past the lowest level guy, and now he's kicked to the curb, and, oh, hey, here's McDonald available, let's bring him back.
Right.
What I would like to see, and it's not even really a fighter's bill of rights, what I would like to see is 3-fight, no-cut contracts. As soon as you are fighting for the UFC, you have a guaranteed 3-fight, no-cut contract. Your show money is a minimum of $10,000 for every fight. So your first fight, 10-5, you win. Your second fight, 10 and 7,500. You win. Your third fight, 10 and 10. So now you're guaranteed 3 fights in 1 year, and no matter what, even if you lose all 3 fights, you've made a living wage of $30,000 for that year. So not only does the fighter benefit, now he doesn't have to work nights, he can focus on his training, but now the fans benefit because they get to see an actual athlete who's not working as a bartender on the weekends, and the UFC benefits because now, instead of having this rotating roster of a bunch of fighters you have no idea who they are, people are actually able to say, oh, Joe Blow, yeah, I saw him in his first 2 fights. He was good. I now know this guy, therefore his fights matter to me. I want to buy a pay-per-view to see this guy. That's what I would like to see happen.
As well, and you're just mentioning a lot of these one-and-done fighters. Dana White's come out a couple times. People are firing at him a little bit because of the free on Fox fights. This last weekend was phenomenal. Love that fight card. But previous ones, people have come out and said, oh, it's a weak card. It's a weak card. And you tend to find a lot of these fighters on there that probably will be a one and done. They're an upcoming guy. But if they lose, you'll never see them again. Or they're off to Bellator or somewhere else. And so I really actually like that idea. I think it's a brilliant idea to have a 3-fight contract like that.
Well, and then I agree with everyone that the free card was a great card, stacked from top to bottom. The pay-per-view beforehand, I wanted to see John Jones, Rashad Evans, and the co-main event, and that was it. Yeah. I didn't know anyone else. And to be honest with you, I didn't know McDonald's opponent. I had no idea who that was.
Right.
It was stacked with guys that nobody knew who they were. They don't have a following whatsoever, and they get paid next to nothing. So it's a free card for the UFC, basically. They pay John Jones. That's their only real fighter that gets paid, and they're able to keep it cheap. They're putting on so many fights now, and they've got so many fighters under contract. Why not keep those guys that are good? Oh, hey, you may never win a title. Okay? That's just the way it is, but we don't care. You come to fight every single time. You have a fan following. Perfect example, Jason McDonald, once again. Everybody wants to see you fight. We always know you bring your game. You fight to win every time. So, yeah, you've got a 3-fight, no-cut deal. Just relax. Okay? You don't have to worry about losing your job. Because how many times you show up to work and your boss comes up and goes, hey, just so you know, you did pretty good the past few weeks, but if you have a poor performance today, you're fired. All your dreams are dead. You're going to have to worry about finding new employment. I know you've been trying to do this for fighting for the past 10 years, so you have no other options. We're the only employer that can pay you a prevailing wage, but go out and have a good day.
Happened to
oh,
me.
my God, I'm so scared that I'm going to get fired, and then you have a shitty performance and you get fired. Whereas if your boss comes up to you and goes, hey, man, you know what? Either way, we love you. Just do your best. What are you guys going to do?
That's
and
awesome.
That's what I always told myself. I'm going to go out there and do my best. If somebody wants to fire me, so be it. But that's who I am.
Well, switching gears a little bit, another question for you. Anderson Silva, about ready to get in the cage and rumble again with Chael Sonnen. Okay, if Anderson Silva gets through Chael one more time, where do you see him going from there? What is left for Anderson Silva? He's proved everything. He's proven so far he's the best pound-for-pound MMA fighter in the world. Where do you see the UFC doing with it? Who are they going to give him?
You know, I've only met Anderson a couple times. We've never really hung out, so I really don't know him that well. But if I'm Anderson and I'm his age and I've made millions upon millions of dollars and I live in Brazil and I'm healthy and I'm a legend, I would be done. Nothing else to prove. He's undefeated in the UFC. He's set so many records.
Right.
He's got such an incredible legacy. And the training is so hard.
Rigorous.
It is so difficult. I mean, day after day to wake up in pain and to know, oh, I'm in pain now, but wait till tonight. That's really going to suck.
Yep.
Yeah, but
And
we go
do
back to the
that
top of the hour,
all
Nate.
year long.
We talked about
Okay.
passion. And you always got to ask these guys, why does Randy do this? Why does Randy continue to do this? Why did Chuck do it for so long? Why is Anderson still doing it? Like you said, he could just retire and live off sponsorships and his fame and glory forever. You think it's his passion that's keeping him going, not just the money?
Well, I think a little bit of both. I think he has a passion to really beat Chael this time and secure one more good payday, and I would not be surprised at all if he walked away. Just say, hey, you know what? I'm the best that ever was. I'm good. And think about Rocky Marciano. We still talk about him, undefeated heavyweight fighter. What if he would have stuck around for one or two more fights and gotten knocked out? He would have been that fighter who was almost undefeated, and nobody would really talk about him.
Very good point.
I'm supposed to thank you, by the way, from a fan, Ricky Stevenson, for punching Shoney Carter in the face. I don't know. It's just something he texted me.
You're welcome.
That's hilarious. Oh, I love it.
Another topic for you real quick, the Overeem case. Because it's causing a little, especially Chael. I love Chael Sonnen for the fact that the guy comes out and speaks his mind, does not care who he makes mad. But he makes a great point. We played a clip earlier talking about, the athletic commission saying, oh, well, he must have tested for something banned or anything. But he never did. He never failed any drug test whatsoever to say he had any performance-enhancing drugs in his system. No, nothing. Has the Nevada State Athletic Commission failed? And what is your opinion on the situation with that whole thing?
Well, first off, testing in any sport is really just so they can say, hey, we're testing. We care about our athletes being clean, and we care about clean fights. In reality, they don't. Their goal is to put on the best show in the world. That's it. That's all any promoter wants to do at any athletic commission. They want the athletes to pass. I was drug tested when I fought, I think, Damian Maia, and it was a random drug test. They call me, like, hey, we want you to go down and piss in a cup. We're going to drug test you. We're hard. We're tough on crime. I'm like, cool. So when do I need to be there? I mean, do I need to drop everything I'm doing right now and drive? He's like, no. Yeah, go in the next 3 or 4 days. Whenever you're free, it's cool. I was like, okay. So a couple days later, I got some time, and I drive down there, and I walk into the building, and there's these 3 guys standing there, and the woman at the desk is, all right, empty your pockets. Let me see. Make sure that you've got nothing on you. Let me see your photo ID. All right, you go into the room. You can wait here. Okay, well, who's next? All right, you go over here and searching everyone, making sure they're really clean. Got this big frown on her face. I give her my paperwork, and she's like, "What do you want?" "Oh, hey, yeah, well, here's your cup. Go do your thing. Just let me know when you're done. It's cool, whatever." And I'm like, so I could have brought in a fake dick and squirted somebody else's piss into this cup. I didn't even need to do that. I could have just brought in a bag. If that was my thing. If I was trying to cheat the system, it would have been the most ridiculous thing ever. They don't want to find these guys that are cheating. They want to give the impression that that's what they're doing. It's just that simple. And it makes them look like, hey, we're tough on crime. We're catching the bad guys. When all it does is make things bad for everyone.
Right. So basically Dana White coming out and stating that, they are that the UFC is the golden standard of testing can kind of just be a little bit breezed over, and that's just more of a statement to make themselves look good versus...
Well, yeah, I mean, I've got a buddy who plays for the NBA, and he gets tested randomly 5 times a season. How many guys in the UFC have been tested 5 times a season? It doesn't happen. I've fought many times in just Hoboken towns. Oklahoma,
right.
North Carolina, I think. And it's like, so am I getting drug tested?
Nope.
No, we don't drug test here.
We don't drug test.
Okay, well, geez, I'm going to go run out. I'm going to find some crack. And, yeah, I'm going to have energy for days for this fight. But, yeah, and to be honest with you, it's not the UFC's responsibility to drug test.
Right.
I don't know where people get this idea that, hey, Dana, man, it's your responsibility to do these things. It's not. His job is to put on good fight cards.
Right.
That's
Right.
it. Nothing else. There is no other responsibility he has in the world. So for him to say, okay, we're going to England, there's no governing body, we're going to test everybody out here, good for you, man. That shows that you want to keep the sport clean. But why would you expect any more from him to do that? You go to your boss and go, dude, it's kind of unsafe around here. Why aren't you doing random drug tests? Because that's not my business. My business is to create widgets. So I don't understand why he's getting so many ball busters saying you've got to change the industry and all this. If I was Dana, I would have just said, it's not my job. Okay, go talk to the athletic commission.
That's correct. I mean, it's 100% right. It's not Dana's job. He is watching over his fighters, and that's just the way it goes. One last question for you, Nate, while we got you on. We want to keep you much longer and stuff. But Ben Henderson versus Frankie Edgar 2. Now, Edgar kept taking everybody's rematches, and us here at the 5th round, we're really sick and tired of rematches.
Oh my gosh.
These instant rematches. Do you think Frankie Edgar really deserved the rematch against Ben Henderson, or should have moved on and just let Ben Henderson fight the next up and coming?
Anthony Pettis, hello.
Anthony Pettis or Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz just rocked it the other night and taking one of these fights versus the Frankie Edgar fight.
So did he or did he not deserve a rematch? I don't think in this world we really deserve very much. We kind of get what we get. He definitely gave rematches to a lot of guys, but when he fought BJ Penn, there was really no one else that was such a big name. That fight sells pay-per-views, so of course they're going to push for a rematch.
Amen, that's
when
all.
He fought Gray Maynard, it was such a close fight, and now they were 1-1. So yeah, that's a call for a rematch. But now Benson Henderson, he lost. That's just all there is to it. He lost the fight. He didn't win one before, and this was a rematch, and they have to do a rubber match. No, he just clearly lost. As a fan, I wanted to see him take a bow and move on to the next thing and then bring in Pettis for that fight.
Yeah.
So now what if Frankie Edgar just barely beats Benson Henderson? Well, obviously he deserves a rematch. You got to have the rubber match there. Oh, the lightweight title has been held up for a year. It's been held up by one guy for 2 years, 2.5 years. So you've got all these incredible lightweights. I want to see Nate Diaz fight for the title. I think the guys in that weight class are going to present him with some very interesting problems. I want to see Anthony Pettis fight Benson Henderson.
Yeah.
He beat him before. That's a great rematch. Yeah, I want to see that. So we're just clogging up the road to the title for the lightweights, and due to the UFC's way of doing business, they refuse to do tournaments. At the very least, I would have said, okay, cool, Frankie Edgar, we love you, man. we're going to go ahead and give you this rematch because it was such a close fight and you gave so many other guys rematches. We're going to do that. Hey, Pettis, hey, Diaz, hey, everybody, 2 other guys, we're going to go ahead and do a lightweight tournament, a 4-man tournament. So while these 2 guys are fighting, we'll have the first leg of the tournament. If there's a rematch, then we'll do the second leg of the tournament, and then we'll know who is the number 1 contender.
Yeah.
And then the winner of Edgar Henderson can fight the winner of the tournament. And again, I hate to sound like a broken record, everybody wins. The fighters win because now it's not just a random crapshoot of who Dana likes on that specific day that's going to get a title shot. The fans win because now they get to see some incredible fights. They actually get to follow along a tournament. Look at the promotion that would be for the UFC, and that's why they win. They're promoting this for the first time in 15 years. We've got a lightweight tournament to decide who the number 1 contender is. He will fight the winner of Henderson Edgar. So now you get to follow along this leg of the tournament. That's one thing that Bellator does really well, and you can see the fans like it. It's like, oh, geez, well, I saw this guy fight in the first leg. In the second leg, now I really want to see him fight in the third leg. I've got a passion for this guy. I know him. It's just win-win all over the place.
You know, I'm 100% in agreement with you. I think if the UFC would go back to what a tournament was, I mean, can you imagine that super fight, kind of a super night? They would triple their sales in one event. In one event alone, they would triple, quadruple their sales because of this massive tournament. Okay.
Well, if you look at the biggest star of the UFC is Dana White. He will be there no matter who wins and who loses.
Right.
He was on the first cover of the UFC magazine. He's been on the cover of the UFC magazine quite a bit. He's the star of the UFC. That does not sell pay-per-views. Vince McMahon does not sell pay-per-views. You have to build up the fighters. And guess what? Yeah, once these fighters have a sense of their own worth, they're going to ask for more money. But you're also getting more money. Then you won't have to have someone like Chuck Liddell, who's been knocked out 5 out of his last 6 fights, continue to headline fights to make that money. That's just ridiculous. Who else in the sport would have been able to be knocked out 5 out of 6 times and still be the main draw of a card, the main event? It's because he had a huge following, and the UFC has not built anyone else up to that superstardom.
No.
If you want to sell pay-per-views, you have to actually give guys their worth.
Yep.
But employers don't want to do that. If your boss is coming to you every day going, oh my God, you're so amazing, we could not have this business without you, you're going to do what? Well, dude, if I'm so important, give me a raise. Oh shit, this really backfired on me, so now I'm going to make sure I treat everybody else like shit so they don't ask for raises.
Right.
Well, then you don't sell pay-per-views. Then you don't get the finest performance that you could.
Well, I think, we do have certain superstars right now. Our heavyweight division, we don't really have a superstar anymore. I mean, Junior Dos Santos, great guy, great fighter. Not quite the superstar yet, bringing the fans, but I think he is pretty much the favorite. Alistar was about to be. We have Anderson Silva. That's a mix. I'm a huge fan of Anderson. A lot of people are mixed, hating him. We also have George St. Pierre. I remember watching him up at the Target Center in Minnesota when Brock Lesnar fought too. George St. Pierre was up there, and everybody's walking around with Canadian flags because it's not too far from Canada. Minnesota wasn't. And I was still on the fence liking George St. Pierre or not, but he's got a massive fan base, and I just don't think we're capitalizing enough on the fans. But we're going to wrap this up real quick. I've got 2 questions for you. One, now I know you had Fight of the Night. Was that Damien? No, it was, who was your Fight of the Night?
Twice, once against Pete Sell and once against Tim Crater.
Tim Crater, that's what it was. Okay, so I'm thinking of Tim Crater. That was a Fight of the Night. All right, you got a bonus for that. Fight of the Night, in your opinion, you tell me your own favorite Fight of the Night, one of your favorite, not your fights, but give us your opinion, from a fan's point of view, what you think in 30 seconds, 45 seconds or less, what one of the best fights in UFC history was, other than Stephan Bonner, Forrest Griffin, played out.
My absolute favorite fight was Frank Mir versus Ian Freeman. It's a fight that no one knows, no one remembers. The UFC has always wanted to build Frank Mir. He's a very marketable guy. They gave him Ian Freeman just to beat him to death, basically, get a very good win. Ian Freeman's father died that week while he was in Las Vegas. He beat the hell out of Frank Mir. He beat him so badly. I thought this was a career-ending beating. And it just showed to me, if you believe in yourself and you're fighting, if you believe in something with so much passion, for Ian Freeman, he was fighting for the memory of his father, you can beat the #1 guy in the world. And the same thing happened to me. My father passed away, and I fought in Richmond, Virginia, and I was filled with so much passion. I beat somebody that had 3 times as many fights as I had. He had 4 inches on me. He was so much bigger than me, and I snapped his arm in a minute and a half.
Oh, wow.
Me, that's what it's all about. If whatever you have passion for in this life, if you go at it full speed, what can stop you? Quit making excuses for yourself. Quit letting other people make excuses for yourself. Find that passion that's going to let you beat your Frank Mir.
Man, I wish I could have typed that out and put that on Facebook. And I love putting quotes out there from people to motivate people.
It's recording.
We've got to put that on Facebook. But you know what's funny, real quick, is when you were talking about the Frank Mir fight. You know what that reminded me of is when Mike Tyson, when he got beat.
Buster Douglas.
Yeah, Buster Douglas. Same thing happened to Buster Douglas. I got goosebumps again. Man, I love this. I'm so passionate about it. So, anyway, had another question. Okay. Tell everybody about the next fight you have coming up so we can make sure that we're tuning in and following you.
My next fight? Are you kidding me? I retired 2 months ago. I'm 40 years old, man. I got a TV show on Spike TV. I can't be training while I'm there dealing with those 2 guys.
How old are you? How old you say?
I just turned 40.
You did turn 40?
You did.
Yep.
Wow. Yeah, see, what's funny is I'm about to be 37, and somebody commented on my Facebook asking me when I'm going to fight again. And, you know, the passion is still there. But sometimes, you know, I was just lifting weights just a week ago, and my elbow completely froze up to where I had to tie a T-shirt, make a sling until the inflammation went down just from arm bars for, you know. I can trace it back to the very first time it popped, Tim Sylvia, the very first time my elbow popped, and I've always had problems with it, so I know exactly what you're coming from. I want it. I got the passion. I can still kick like a mule, you know, but...
Well, let's just say my fight camp started this week for my fight in September, and I am so sore, and I'm glad I would like to say I have a day off, but I don't have a day off. I don't think I get a day off till after September.
Awesome.
And yeah, so pain. My last question is, and I think I read it online from that was the tomorrow's super fight, BJJ super fight, Nick Diaz versus Braulio Estima. What do you think?
Well, and I said this last night on the show, that Estima, that's all he does. He's a specialist. It's very similar to James Toney versus Randy Couture. Coming to our world, we're going to win pretty much every time. But if Couture was to box James Toney, his head would have landed up on the cheap sheets. That's all Estima does. He focuses every day, all day long on Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He doesn't even worry about getting elbowed while somebody's in the guard. So fighting a specialist like that is very tough. But for Nick Diaz, I don't think winning was ever a really big priority for him. I think it's more of, I want to go out and experience the experience. If I win, that's awesome. But why would I say no? I'm not going to get injured. This is just a great chance for me to grow and stay in competition shape.
That's awesome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Nate Rock Quarry, co-host of MMA Uncensored on Spike. Make sure you tune in. You can also follow Nate on Twitter at Nate Rock Quarry. Nate, I greatly appreciate your time. We're about out of time here on the show. We got about 10 minutes left, but I thank you for your time this morning. And good luck in your future endeavors, and we'll be definitely tuning into your show.
Cool. And make sure, everyone, that you go to zombiecagefighter.com. That's my clothing line. If you're sick and tired of wearing douchebag skull and barbed wire shirts and everything, my shirts actually have style, and it's based on a screenplay that I've written called Zombie Cage Fighter, which is based on my life, its adventures, and things that I've gone through as a fighter with zombies thrown in as the antagonist. I swear to God, when I wear my shirts around, I have random people come up to me and go, dude, I love your shirt.
That is awesome.
My shirts are that cool. I don't skimp on the art. My art is very expensive, but my shirts aren't. I want to make my shirts available to everyone, and I find that it's just, I'm excited to have people get excited about my shirts. I will be launching the comic book this summer. I'm in talks to do an animated series, so this is your chance to get in on the ground floor, wear the cool shirts around before I become a complete douchebag and sell it out to SBG or ABG, and they become just like Tap Out and everything like that.
Well, you know what? You've got some new fans here all over the state of Arkansas. I can guarantee you that. We stream all over the world, and so we have got some new fans. I've got my Facebook is blowing. I've got text messages coming in. Everybody wants to ask you so many questions. We definitely need to get you back on the radio show. Well, you know we are award-winning now.
Award-nominated.
We're nominated. Oh, yeah. See, I'll sign an autograph if you want, Nate. I mean,
MMA Radio Show of the Year, yet I've never had a fan at the door of the studio going, I want to meet you guys.
But anyway, we can't even tell you how much we appreciate you. We do have a big fight show here in Little Rock in the area called Kingdom Promotions. And that's something that I created. It's a faith-based organization based on not just the fight of a fighter, but the fight of life that we have. And I would love to have you as a special guest sometime. I know you got a crazy schedule, but if we can ever pull that off, man, we would love to have you here in the state of Arkansas and Little Rock. But once again, we just want to say, from me, Nathan Kirby, and Craig Blazevich, we're honored to have you as a guest. I can't wait to get you back on. Good luck with everything you do. God bless you, man. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
All righty, sir. We greatly appreciate it. You have yourself a fantastic day and a great weekend, sir.
Cool. Thank you.
All right. Have a great day.
Great interview, Mr. Court. Man, everybody was just so pumped up. I got another one on Facebook, but I got text messages. I got people from Iowa texting, and, you know, I just can't wait to get this out, you know. And again, I say again, Craig, I suck sometimes because I'm, you know, I've got so many avenues, and not to say that I got so many irons in the fire. They're all around this area, helping people, encouraging people, and I've got some stuff people don't know about that I'm training at home. I'm doing my own things, and man, I wish we can get the word out more, you know. And so this is what I'm telling my fans, telling the MMA fans in the MMA world right now. If you're listening to us, what we need you to do is you help us. That's the only way we're going to be able to grow. We have done so much in the last couple months, but you guys liking us on Facebook is great, but getting your friends to like us, getting your friends to tune into us, getting you to support us and come to our fights, and man, it's all because of you guys. We don't do this because we want to talk. We do this because you want to listen.
You know what? I felt so blessed this morning. There was somebody on Facebook, I can't remember who it was, but out of the blue, said that they were, you know, they had the beginning of our intro. They wrote out the beginning, you know, it's the moment we've all been waiting for, and you know, just can't wait, because it feels like, but we're a part of their day, you know. And I get emails and text messages. Hey man, my Friday is really made.
That's awesome.
Because of the fifth round. I get to listen to certain shows in the morning, 10 a.m. I'm tuned into the fifth round. You and Nathan rock. I've got people in England. Not even Arkansas. I'm talking about Jolly Ode, England.
Oh, right.
Oh, right.
Sorry if we messed that up, people,
guys, there. I've got people in Australia streaming us now. I got fight clothing companies in Australia. I've got people. We have a lot of people out there, and we love to know that we're growing this. We do plan on the next couple of months. We've got some new sponsorships going to be coming on board with the fifth round. We thank everybody out there for staying in touch with us day in and day out. I know that we can't. Nathan is super busy during the day, and I am busy during the day, and we try to get back to every one of you guys and ladies. Man, fight camp been going on this week for me. I felt like my leg about got bruised all the way to the bone from a good leg kick, and I'm pumped because I get to represent the Phoenix Finishers in the Triad Fight League in September.
Really?
I am part of the Phoenix Finishers.
Gosh, dang it, now I want to fight, Craig.
Man, I'm telling you.
Man, I about threw a chair across the wall. Man. I can fight heavyweight.
What's that?
I can fight heavyweight. I'm 240 right now.
You could.
Give me a sling for my elbow and give me a little brace for my knee.
I've got some guys.
My ankle.
I'm going to be headed back to Phoenix for about a week and a half, for just over a week next month. I'm going to be training with Shannon the Cannon Rich, possibly with Joe Diesel Riggs, doing some boxing with him. I'm trying to get over to Power MMA and Fitness because I want to roll on the mats with Ryan Bader. and some of the guys over there in CB Dalloway, because those guys are class acts. They're really that's solid training. I'm gonna have fun and joining my family and all, but I'm also gonna enjoy getting my rear end kicked. And I am talking to hopefully get Ben Henderson up at the MMA Lab. They just had a great event last week, and Naga was in Phoenix last week. Shannon Rich won his title at his weight class. So we're trying to want to bring all this stuff to you. I want to announce this just because he's such a dear friend of ours here at the station. Rolly, the crazy Cuban Delgado, is fighting. He will be fighting on the card Saturday, June 16, 2012, Show Fight 20. Okay? There's a lot of guys on that fight card. We said Shoney Carter earlier. Shoney
Carter's got some big names on that fight card, man. Big
fights. Shoney Carter's on there. Just so you know, too, that if you're a business that wants to get your name on the fight shorts for Rolly, he's open. You can get on there. You can get a hold of Rolly Delgado. He's looking to bring in training partners, and that's what the sponsorship money's going to. It's $500 to get your good logo on his shorts. That's phenomenal. You're going to get great advertising for your business.
Hey, Rolly, if you're listening, you better put the 5th round on there for free.
Exactly.
Come on. But yeah, Cairo Parisian. Let's keep talking about those fighters. This is a huge guy. This is just
Cairo
in Springfield,
Parisian.
Missouri. Springfield, Missouri.
Leg lock freak, man. Cairo Parisian. Woo.
Crazy Horse Bennett, but he's going under another name. You know that he's fighting under another name now.
Really?
Yeah, Kid Chaos.
Really?
Yeah, it's Kid Chaos. I'm pretty sure it's Kid Chaos. So he's not as the Crazy Horse anyway, but you guys remember Crazy Horse. He would fight in the UFC. He's fighting all over these fights. And when they would announce his name, he lays down.
Yeah.
He lays down in his corner like it's no big deal, like he's got a toothpick in his mouth, chilling. Drew Fickett.
Drew Fickett. Man,
crazy, old school.
Matt Lucas.
Shoney Carter, we mentioned him. This is huge, man. This is, for being a show fight has been around, but it's been amateur and amateur. Actually, I was just celebrating my 16-year anniversary up in Branson, and show fight had a fight night that night in a barn somewhere in a bar. I mean, this is the contrast of what they do. They're all amateur, and now they've just came into the ranks of being a professional fight, one of the America's top mixed martial arts promotions. Dozens of UFC, Strikeforce, Bellator, Pride, King of the Cage, Elite XC. They have agreed to compete in this organization along with a lot of promising pro mixed martial artists up and coming. So this is going to be a huge, huge event in Springfield, Missouri at the O'Reilly Family Center.
Pound for pound rankings came out. Welterweight division, out of the top 10,
Nathan Kirby.
Mr. GSP, George St. Pierre, is not on the list.
He's not?
He's been removed from the top 10 in welterweight division.
He hasn't fought in
right now, you're looking at number 1, Carlos Condit, Jake Ellenberger, Johnny Hendricks, great win for Hendricks the other day, Josh Koscheck, Jake Shields, John Fitch, Diego Sanchez, Martin Campman, Rory McDonald, and Ben Askren. No GSP. I'm sorry, but I think that dude's been so good in his career that he could sit for a decade and still come back and should still be in the top 10. So you got to finish out the show. I've got the KLRG owner calling in right now.
Oh, yeah, you might want to take that right now. That's kind of an important call. So, we're excited here at the 5th round. We've got a lot of things coming up. We've got some contacts we're making all the time. I have talked to Sean Shirk. He is going to come on the show. I have talked to Pat Miletich. He's going to come on the show. We've talked to Rodrigo Gracie. He's about to come on the show. And then we've also talked to a couple of UFC guys, and I can't mention their name yet because I don't have them under contract to be on the show, but we've got some great promising upcoming things. And I got to tell you, personally, I talked to Dan the Beast Severn for over an hour. I talked to Dan Severn for over an hour 2 days ago. And so we're trying to get Dan Severn to come down here for June 23rd's Kingdom Promotions. Dan is amazing. He told me a story, and I only have 1 minute before we got to go. Let me tell you a story. I'm going to talk really fast like the Micro Machines man. Dan Severn, he trained for 6 days. I think it was, 6 or 3 days. He heard about this thing called the UFC, this Ultimate Fighting thing, and so he trained. What he did was he had a bunch of people come at him with punches and kicks, and he was just a wrestler, and all he wanted to do was block or defend or shoot and stuff them so they couldn't punch or kick, take them down and beat on them with some amateur wrestling moves, and that's what he did. That's how he got his start in the UFC, and look at the legend he is now. Hall of Fame, Dan Severn. Man, the dude is amazing. He's actually talking to me right now about the Body by Vi Challenge because he really wants to help. He talks to thousands of people about health and wellness. And so Dan Severn is interested in Visalis because he wants to help more people, help these fighters cut weight, help people get in shape. And it's such a great message. So, man, it was an hour long talking to such a legend.
Well, real quick, it has been announced, the UFC has announced Australia versus the United Kingdom Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, well,
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And I want to leave everybody off with this question and think about this, and we're going to discuss this next week. One name, Josh Barnett. Is he one of the top heavyweights in the world, and should he be brought over back to the UFC to fight against some of the big dogs over in the UFC?
My answer is
expect a win. I don't know, by knockout or submission. That's what I'm gonna go for. But I expect 5-minute round of war at very high pace.
It is the one we have waited